Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Bedhead Bible Studies with James, as we're going through. And if my calculations are correct, and if you're actually following the plan here, not that you have to, but I believe it's probably Monday morning for you, and we're going into week 2 for the Bedhead study. So good job, and I appreciate you guys being here with us as we continue to dig in to James. Our sponsor today, unofficial sponsor, is Judson Hills Church Camp. Many of you guys have heard me talk about Judson Hills over the years. It was a church camp I grew up at. For about 30 years, I was involved with Judson Hills between camping and counseling, directing, pastoring, and while it's not there anymore, it is still very much alive in a lot of our hearts. So thank you for unofficially sponsoring today's Bedhead Bible study as we go to James chapter 1, verse 19. So if you follow along with me, it says this: "Know this, my beloved brothers, sisters, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Therefore put away all filthiness and rampant wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls." So if we start looking at this just a little bit out of context, just because I think it's easier to see there, and then we'll bring it back into context, I think we understand what he's trying to say when it comes to conversations that we have in our lives, whether it be maybe you're having some struggles with your spouse, or with a child, or with a parent, or with a friend, a coworker, an employee, whatever the case may be. A lot of times when we're sitting down to have a big conversation, our natural tendency, not all of us, I know some of us are more introverted and just kind of want to survive the moment and get out of there, but for a lot of us, we want to get our point across. We want our perception to be the reality that is on the table, and we want to prove our point, or we want to get our way, per se. And when that's our tendency to make our perception the reality, a lot of times we are quick to speak. We're not necessarily real quick to listen. Okay, I want to understand your point of view, or where you're coming from, or what your thoughts are, or how you perceived what we've been going through, or a particular situation. You're not necessarily really desiring to take that in as much as you want to get your point across, and you want them to understand how you feel, and you want them to accept how you see things. And when they don't, and in fairness on their turn, trying to get you to understand their point, and they're not necessarily feeling like they're getting any place, that usually leads to anger or frustration, because anger really is, for the most part, the response we have when we think that somebody else is blocking us from us getting what we want. A lot of times that's what anger is the result of. It's just we want what we want, and you're in my way, or you're not agreeing, and so that I'm starting to get more and more intense of an emotion about that. And I've shared this a lot of times when people are coming to me for pastoral counseling, let's say within a marriage situation or a relationship situation, or a couple of people are butting heads. Most of the time, yes, I have training and I have experience that can speak into those situations, but really a big part of my role is to just look at everything without the emotion. A lot of times that I'm working with people, it's just they're so worked up and they're so guarded that they just can't see what's right in front of them, or what's kind of common sense, or what is a good compromise, or those type of things. A lot of times we need facilitators that don't have the emotion involved to stop, listen, speak, give some ideas, talk about some ideas, and ask questions to kind of facilitate it through a little bit. It really is mostly successful because we don't have that emotion that comes into it. But if we bring it into context, what James is talking about here is us coming to the Word of God. And a lot of times, as we come to God, we might have our own inclinations of what we want it to be. We have our own thoughts of what we want to do. And we come across the Word of God, and he says something else, and says, I know you like this in your life, or I know you like that relationship in your life. I know you keep making this decision over and over again, but that's not my best, and that's not what I have for you, and I have much more for you. And we can actually come into it taking and saying, no, I'm not giving that up. Or it's not that big of a deal. and we kind of become a little bit angry with God, not like the my whole world's falling apart thing, but just we don't have a big dialogue, I think, sometimes about it. But I think a lot of times we look at the word and just go, and almost to kind of be more comfortable closing it and kind of pretend like we didn't just read that, than we are throwing our fist around. So what James is telling us is that the word really is where our lifeblood comes from. This is what is able to save our souls, the truth that's within this. And so he says, instead of acting like you want your way, come, put away your filthiness. Put away your rampant wickedness. And with meekness, which doesn't mean that you're weak, it just means that you take your power and you put it in control and you put it in its right place and you put yourself in submission to God and you take the implanted word, it's life-changing. And a lot of us are railing against God on something that we don't want to give up or something we don't want to do, and the emotions are starting to cloud things, and God's just saying, come and receive what I have for you, and let's move forward in some new ways and some fresh ways, and prepare your heart for the Word. What's worse is a lot of us don't even come to the Word anymore. I'm thrilled you're doing this Bible study with us. I'm thrilled that you're getting your snippet, but a lot of us don't see the Word of God as our life-changing instruction and breath that we come running to, saying, I need to see things God's way. I need to embrace in God's way. I need Him to direct me in His way, in the life-giving way it is. So maybe some of us just need to let go of some anger against God. Maybe some of us will see some things in a relationship with another human being, within a brother or sister in Christ, or something of that nature that might be coming in. But more than anything else, some of us just need to get passionate about the Word of God and see it as the life-giving source that it is, and be able to put ourselves aside and our own wants and desires away, and our need for shortcuts and comfort zones away, so that we can get the fullness of His saving Word in our lives. So that's some thoughts today as we go into pretty much part one of a three-part on what he has about the Word and what he has. So I do hope you come back tomorrow and see as he continues his conversation about the beauty and the breadth of the Word of God. Thank you guys. Be blessed.